What is going on, Yankee fans? Back at it with another episode of the 161st Street Show. My name is Joseph Esposito, your host. Before I get into today's topic, please like and subscribe on this video for more Yankees content moving forward. In today's video, we're going to cover the Yankees' acquisition of right-handed pitcher Angel Chivilli of the Colorado Rockies, the possible return of Paul Goldschmidt, and some right-handed hitting outfield options that have been speculated on by Brandon Cuddy that have interest to the Yankees. So to kick it off with the first topic, Angel Chivilli was acquired this week from the Colorado Rockies in a trade. Yankees gave up minor leaguer TJ Rumfeld. So this is a very, low risk, high reward move for the Yankees. TJ Rumfield was obviously a decent hitting prospect, first baseman. There's currently no room on the roster for him, with obviously Ben Rice, Giancarlo Stanton clogging up the DH spot. So there was no immediate opening for him, and it's someone the Yankees had left unprotected in the Rule 5 draft these past 2 years. So obviously it's not someone of high importance to the organization to protect. So they moved him in this deal for Angel Chivilli. Take a look at the offerings that Chivilli, share my screen here. Okay. So obviously on paper, you look at the stats that he put up, they're not pretty, to say the least. I mean, 1-5 with a 7.06 ERA. He pitched in 43 games, 58 and 2/3 innings. Big problem, obviously, for one, he pitches in Coors Field. That definitely does not help him at all. It obviously affects the movements on certain pitches. You've heard pitchers in the past that have pitched for the Colorado Rockies or that have pitched in Colorado and then somewhere else that they can feel the noticeable difference and the adjustments they have to continuously keep making between home and away. Kind of gets hard to fall into a rhythm and get comfortable, especially when you're young. I mean, Chivilli's only 23 years old and he's only has a year accumulative service time so far. So definitely still a very young player with a lot of upside. So obviously just to see what the Yankees like in him, high velo type of guy. His fastball averages 97.1 miles per hour. He also is able to generate a fair amount of chase, ranking himself in the 65th percentile at 29.5%. Then really high whiff guy, 29.7th percentile or 29% whiff percentage with that ranks in the 80th percentile. Ground ball high, 49.8%, 84th percentile. The biggest thing I think the Yankees are really enamored with Chivilli is obviously, as I mentioned, the whiffs, but in particular, his ability to generate whiffs on his off-speed pitches is very, very good. In 2024, you could see here, he was able to generate a 56.3% whiff percentage on his changeup. His slider, 40% in 2024, and then you see 2025, 45.5% on the slider, 42.6 on the changeup. So very, very good, very, very good pitches that, very good offerings that Chivilli has. Very enticing pair with that 97 mile per hour fastball. The biggest thing that you need to work on is the sequencing, I think, of his pitches. As you could see, his fastball generated a 573 X slug, so it was getting hit very, very hard. So definitely need to work on whether that be the location, the sequencing of the pitches to make it a little bit less predictable. Definitely a lot to work on, but again, low risk. TJ Rumfield was someone, like I said, not going to be on the team, not going to be a part of the future of the Yankees organization. So no problem in moving him for a high upside guy like this, of someone that you could make a weapon, and someone that obviously Matt Blake and Sam Breed could definitely do something with. So definitely interested to see how that will go. Then now moving on to the second topic of this video, Paul Goldschmidt. Jack Curry of the Yes Network reported that the Yankees and Paul Goldschmidt had some interest in returning. The report elaborate a little further and said Goldschmidt could even be interested in returning to the Yankees, even though he is not going to have a full-time role. All offseason, the Yankees have been hammering home that Ben Rice is the primary first baseman, which I'm very happy about. Ben Rice, was slightly above average, even against left-handed pitching, obviously excellent against right-handed pitching. So I think he definitely deserves the opportunity to get a full season's worth of run, see how he performs against left-handed pitching before, determining is this someone that is the everyday first baseman, which I think Ben Rice has the full capability to be that kind of guy. But let's take a quick look at Goldschmidt's numbers and why the Yankees obviously would be interested. I don't think it's going to be of surprise to anyone. So Goldschmidt, his stats for the year, obviously overall very solid, playing 146 games, 534 plate appearances, 10 homers, 274 average, 328 OBP, 403 slug, 103 WRC plus, and point 0.8 WAR. Obviously, not great numbers if you're looking at him as this guy is going to be an everyday player for me. But as someone who is going to be strictly playing against left-handed pitching, let's see what he did against left-handed pitching in 2025. As you can see here, he had a 235 ISO, which is amazing because you look at the staggering difference of 0.82 against right-handed pitching. Far and away from the Goldschmidt of old. Hey, I mean, 981 OPS. I mean, this is a guy, 169 WRC plus. This is a guy that is going to perform for you against left-handed pitching. There's nothing, that's scaring you off of that. There's nothing that's really not making you believe that he will be unproductive. I think the Yankees could still use him as the first baseman when versing left-handed pitching and maybe just slide Ben Rice to catcher and put Austin Wells on the bench. But like I said, I think this is a very intriguing option for the Yankees. I think it makes sense. It kind of is ironically falling into the Yankees run it back narrative because at this point, it would be literally the same exact position player group that they ended the season with. Obviously, depending on what happens with Oswaldo Cabrera and obviously waiting for Anthony Volpe to come back. But at some point in the season, it would be literally the entire end of 2025 position group, which makes people very upset for some reason, even though it was the number one offense in baseball. But I digress. Now, moving on to the third topic in this video, Brendan Cuddy of The Athletic reported that the Yankees have interested in adding a right-handed hitting outfielder. Obviously, it goes without saying the Yankees are very left-handed, especially in the outfield. Bellinger, they obviously brought back. Grisham is on a one-year deal, and then they have Aaron Judge, of course. So what does that mean? That means Grisham, I would say, most likely needs to be platoon 4 when versing a left-handed pitcher to have the most optimal hitting lineup. So Bellinger probably kicks over to center field, or depending on who you bring in, but based on the names that are being brought up and that were discussed in the article, it seems very likely that Bellinger would be sliding to center field, and then this player that the Yankees would be slotting into left field. So, firstly, he mentioned Austin Slater. He even went on to say that Austin Slater had received a contract offer from the Yankees, a major league offer earlier in the offseason. Everyone knows Austin Slater was not very good in his brief time with the Yankees last year after coming over from the White Sox at the deadline. It was very quick. It was very unfortunate because I really do like Austin Slater. I mean, you look at his overall numbers in 2025, they weren't amazing. The expected numbers were much, much better, but they weren't amazing. But I do still have genuine belief that Austin Slater can be a productive hitter against left-handed pitching. So definitely would be more than okay with Austin Slater returning. Also mentioned this article was not only Austin Slater, it was also Randall Grichuk. So we'll bring up his Fangraphs page. Second here. Okay, so Randall Grichuk, obviously a well-known lefty killer throughout the majority of his career. Just bring up his splits. Ironically, Randall Grichuk was a well-known Yankees killer, especially when he was on the Blue Jays. It felt like he homered against them every game. It was the most irritating thing when I was growing up that I was petrified of seeing Randall Grichuk at the plate, which is really funny because overall his career numbers aren't amazing against right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching. It just felt like he always hit a home run for some reason. Anyway, in 2025, his numbers were a little bit down against left-handed pitching as well. 703 OPS, 89 WRC plus. I'm pretty sure he also dealt with some injuries. He's not a high walk guy. He's definitely a more of a contact centric kind of player. Just let me bring up the career split so it'll be a little easier to see why Grichuk does make sense for the Yankees from this perspective, from a platoon perspective. Where is it? Where's the dead? Okay, there it is. Overall 118 WRC plus. But yeah, I think you guys got the idea. 118 WRC plus type of player. I think he would be a great option. Mentioned in the article also was Tommy Pham. Again, another corner outfielder. Wouldn't love him as much. I believe his defense isn't too good. So definitely want to see either Slater or Grichuk come in as opposed to Pham. Obviously, Pham hits the ball very hard from an offensive perspective. It would be a great move. But this also kind of coincides with what I've been saying about Jason Dominguez. And it's very unfortunate, but it's probably time to move on from Jason Dominguez. I wouldn't even really say it's his fault. It's just based on the team that the Yankees have constructed it would not make any sense carrying two outfielders on the bench just to have the platoon advantage and then also carry Jason Dominguez at the same time when the offense is so left-handed and he has no value against left-handed pitching. And obviously, he's not a good defender. He's a good base runner, but it's just the fit on the roster doesn't make much sense. I don't think sticking him in AAA is also a good idea. I don't foresee his value getting much better than it is currently. In fact, I only see his value dwindling, especially if you're using one of the minor league options on him. And obviously, his service time is the clock is ticking for him. So I definitely think it's time to move Dominguez. As unfortunate it is to give a prospect of his stature, it's time. I think the Yankees could move him. I think they could still get good value for him. You know, get a relief pitcher with some service, some control. I think is definitely an option. Maybe a team like the Reds would make sense. Someone like a Graham Ashcraft and that Ryan Garcia of Empire Sports Media mentioned. A Rockies reliever, the Seth Halverson, Victor Vodnik type of guy. There's definitely a few teams, definitely a few names out there that could make sense. But like I said, I think it's just time. I just don't think it makes sense to stick him in AAA or to just have him taking up a bench spot for 1 to 2 games a week and essentially just he's essentially would only be there as a just in case Giancarlo Stanton or another outfielder gets injured. Because obviously Stan gets injured, but then again, he's still only hitting against right-handed hitters. That's where him being a switch hitter but not being able to perform against left-handed pitching is a big issue. It really diminishes his value as well as his poor defense. But that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for you guys for tuning in. Like I said at the beginning of the video, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Let's go Yankees, everyone.